I am honored, privileged, and so blessed to introduce my next guest on the BeautyPro podcast. I'm still kind of recovering from fangirling, although I don't think it was too obvious. So you'll have to let me know after you listen. So today's guest is none other than Mr. Nick Arrojo himself, razor cutting guru, one of the first leaders in transforming the industry as far as celebrity stylists on TV. Remember that show, What Not to Wear? Anyway, here it is. I am giving it over to Mr. Nick Arrojo. Are you a beauty or barber pro looking for that push to do that thing you've always wanted to do, whether it's in or out of the salon, spa, or shop? Are you tired of not feeling good enough, smart enough, skilled enough? Are you tired of not getting a handle on your mental health, boundaries, and insecurities? I'm Christine Sherwood, the Beauty Pro Coach, an internationally certified coach, a salon and spa owner, and your personal Jiminy Cricket. I use my own experiences, good and bad, as a salon owner to help you be more self-aware, authentic, and forward-thinking in your approach to life, in and out of the salon. It's time to reach your version of success with the Beauty Pro Coach podcast. Hello, this is Christine Sherwood, the Beauty Pro Coach, and I am your host of the Beauty Pro podcast. And I am very honored, privileged, and blessed to have our next guest, Mr. Nick Arrojo.
It's fun to be here. So happy to be on chatting to you today.
Thank you. Me too. So I'm just going to dive in. What was this always the plan to be an international brand? What is the Nick Arrojo origin story?
The origin story was, I'm a big dreamer, and I'm kind of lived my dream. I've managed to reach to the stars and get there, thank God. And of course, the last few years have been incredibly challenging, so that's changed the vision somewhat. So now it's a question of let's say you get to the moon, and you arrive, and then everything's going really well. And then out of nowhere comes a massive, big business interruption. And, our industry is changing a lot. And you're caught in the middle of, this. And you have to, think very quickly on your feet. I think all hairdressers have been through a lot with the close downs and the shutdowns and the changes and the work habits, and the cities have changed. Obviously, my business is in New York City. So, the whole business has changed because there's not that many people that come to work here anymore, and relationships have changed. So I find myself today, navigating through past having achieved the goals that I wanted to achieve. So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
That is interesting.
It's not easy. But you wish for something and you get there, and all of a sudden you have to have your big boy panties on to make sure you can deal with it. And that's what we're doing.
So what helps you to maintain that drive now that the world has changed so drastically?
Well, what choice do we have? Okay, what are the choices? Yeah. I've always said the same thing. I've never changed in what I've said since I was a kid. I don't come from money, so I never, had wealthy parents. I, didn't even, have well-off parents. I didn't fly until I was 18. I came to America with $1,500. It was probably the most money I ever had when I came here in '94. I achieved a lot in the UK. I worked for money. I always said that you go to work to make money, and that's the purpose of a job, is to make money so you can live the life that you choose. And if you're lucky, and I have been very lucky through hard work, determination, and focus, you can accomplish great things in this industry, and have done that. Today, you find yourself in a situation which nobody ever thought would ever happen, that someone could close your business down for 3.5 months and expect it just to start up again. And I live in the epicenter of what was known as the center of, COVID, New York City. So, and the way in which the politicians dealt with it here was pretty devastating for businesses like what we do in the hair and the personal care business. Nobody cares about us. It's the reality of it. Yeah, nobody did anything for us. There's no agency that did anything for us. And to be fair, a lot of people kind of laughed at what they thought was a very kind of non-essential industry. Okay. So, but once you do create success, you have commitments. And when you take those commitments, so when you're signing a lease with a $15 million commitment, that's a commitment. And you go into a lease scared as hell. When I first did my first lease, I had to put $32,000 down. That was 3 months rent, and it was 3 months security and the first month's rent. It was $32,000. I never saw that money ever again. The landlord still got it. He's got a lot more because my rent's gone up a lot. So, you're always very conscious about, the commitments that you have. And today, once you make these commitments, when challenges and problems happen, you have to figure out and try and navigate how to get through. And we're continuing to do that. So we don't really have a choice. Yeah. The simple choices, the choices are very simple. Give up completely. Well, I'm too young to give up. Okay. Start again. Okay. Have it all collapse and start again. I don't have enough time to start again. It's not really like my future, or fight for what you've built. And I think that that's literally exactly where I'm at. I'm fighting for what I've built, and it is what it is. You just have to do the very best that you can. It's every day is a tough day. Every day there are things against you. Running a business in New York City is probably one of the toughest things you can do. It's very expensive. It's become more expensive. And it's not a very business friendly environment. Okay. So, I've learned how to navigate and work in this city. And to be quite honest with you, if I can get through this, people say, oh, you managed to make it. No, we are navigating through a very difficult period of time because the industry has changed so much, and my commitments were so big that they could not withstand losing 50 hairdressers. You lose 50 hairdressers when you get closed for 4 months and you come back and you've not made any money, and every hairdresser doesn't want to come back. So, and people think of me we're not just a hair salon. Yeah. We're right. 3 salons, we were 2 schools, we were an academy, we're a product company, we're all these different things. I got 3 different companies that I run, all separate enterprises. They all need a CEO. That's me. Yep. And yet I work and I teach every weekend and I cut clients every day, and I'm fighting for every penny. So, I suppose it's just my northern mentality, hardworking, bricks and mortar, one step in front of another, just see where we can go. If things don't work out, I will always be okay. Yeah. There is no such thing in my life as fail. There is only a thing called success. That's right. People cannot take away from you what you have built. People cannot take away your reputation. You can look behind to see you can look over your shoulder, see where you've come from. You can see exactly whether you achieved your dreams or whether you achieved your goals. I did achieve all of them. And as I did achieve all of them, I can continue to dream bigger. As I continue to dream bigger, I continue to invest in the number one thing, which is me. I've always invested in me. So I invested in trying to expand my business and make it even more successful, to create opportunities for people so that people would stick around longer, so that we could build something. And nothing has really changed in that capacity. The only thing that changed was that my business was shut down for a long time. And because of the shutdown and the change in the mentality, then what's happened is we've been on the back foot for the last 2.5 to 3 years, and we continue to navigate forward. But you know, if you're smart, you'll get there, and if you're unlucky, you're just unlucky. And if we have to start again, we'll start again. But I don't feel personally, I don't feel like I feel like all the decisions that I make are well thought out. They're the best decisions made at the time. If things don't work out, you just make the best decision at the right time, and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We have no idea. Yeah. Tomorrow they could say, "Hey, you got to wear your mask again." And tomorrow they could say, "Oh, you got to stay 6 feet away from each other." And if they do that, then guess what? That's all going to be over because no one can cope with that crap anymore. It's like a thing of the past. Don't bring it back. Don't make it something. You know, you just got to move forward. But I live in a wacky town called New York, and this wacky town in New York, they have wacky thoughts and wacky ways of doing things. You know, and you know, so
I remember seeing your posts, you know, shouting out to the local government there. And I actually was very nervous for you. I was very nervous. I was like, oh Lord, I was praying because in our industry, you know, we're not supposed to really talk about controversial political things, you know?
Oh yeah. I took a beating on a lot of that stuff.
That was my question. Okay.
I took a beating on a lot of that stuff. You see, what happened is there was this number one, hairdressers. We're all emotional, creative, emotional. Right. Yeah, that's who we are. We're emotional. You know, we're all of the words that people will make up. Yeah.
Right.
You know, creativity. You know, we can be somewhat dysfunctional. You know. But you know, we're just a different breed of person. We have to deal with a lot every single day.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know, as a leader in the industry, you know, and I think of myself as someone that, you know, has been in this industry, one, for 40 years, and number two, I've been fighting at the top of my game for as long as I possibly can. I've worked with the best. I've had some of the best mentors in town, and I still keep my eye on the prize. And I work every day, and I'm navigating. Yeah. So when I started with all of that, the idea was I was trying to make noise for salons to get open, but then you had hairdressers that didn't want to go back to work. So it flipped because people were saying, I don't want to go back to work because you're sending me to go and get killed. I'm like, no, we're not. But that was part of, you know, kind of the mentality. You know, what people don't realize is that no one's there paying your bills for you. When I was compounding into hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt. My rent was $7,000 a day. So you add up how much you owe in rent after a week. Then you add up after a month how much you owe in rent. It's $200,000 a month. Yeah. People don't make that money. You can't find that money. Yeah. So I was fighting for the salon owners so they could get their businesses open. The salon owners came to me and I fought for them. The problem was I got a backlash from a lot of my staff because I believe that you know, the dynamic of me being a salon owner and being a hairdresser had evolved from me becoming a manufacturer of products, and my closest allies were my clients, and my clients were salon owners because they purchased my professional products. And my stylists, who were in their 20s to 30s, they had team leaders that were my friends when I was just a salon owner. So as I built people up, there were people put in place to look after the rest of the team. I've always been a believer in building a farm. And when I talk about building a farm, it's like a football team. You've got your main team, you've got your B team, you've got your C team. You've always got new talent coming through. You always have to be prepared for when things change. So, of course, for me, I was not disconnected from the staff, my personal team, but there were other people in place that were the so-called leaders. We called them the leadership team. Unfortunately, the leaders never came back. So if the leaders don't come back, then no one's going to come back. So that is what happened. So I found myself in a space where I'd lost all of the infrastructure that I built. And you can't just click your fingers and expect that infrastructure to, happen tomorrow. And because I am 100% independent, and I was very smart in, having a good, a good amount of cash reserve to help me weather, this difficult time when it still continues to be a difficult time. So I was smart enough in that. But then you need even more money to inject, because in order to get the train to go faster, you got to put more coal in the engine. Yeah. To get the car to move quicker, you got to accelerate with more gas, which more gas costs more money. Yeah. So the problem is when you're trying to manage money and then you're trying to put gas, it means that the dollars that you spend are so much more precious now because you're fewer of them. But, the whole landscape has changed. When I talk about the landscape has changed, inflation, petrochemicals, if you're making products, manufacturing has changed. Costs of manufacturing have gone up. People don't want to manufacture goods no more. There's a major shift. Shipping a product from California to New York is now 3 times what it would have cost because of the gas. So when you're putting together, 50,000 units on a shelf and the product's being made in California and you got to bring it over to New York, all of these things add up, cost a lot of money.
So in addition to being a one-man show, really, you are also an economist. We are forced to do this.
I have to be. Yeah. I mean, life was good when I could focus on the hair and the creativity. Yeah. That was really like when it was a blessing. The last few years, I've really had to use my mental capacity to navigate forward and still continue to navigate forward. To get up every day and know that you're going to work your socks off and everything that you do is going to go into the business. It's not going to go into your pocket.
Yeah.
So since 2020, my earning potential has become nothing. I don't worry about taking any money. I just work.
But that's the true leadership right there. That's true leadership. That's sacrificing.
Well, I think it's the same for every salon owner.
Yeah.
The last person to get paid.
Yeah.
And the objective of a business is initially to get to a break-even zone. Yeah. Once you hit your break-even zone, then you can start to think about the potential for you to actually start to get money. The first 2 years I had this business, I had a zero, tax return. I never made any money. I didn't put myself on payroll. I just worked my socks off and, put the grind on. But I think when you're new in business, and I know there'll be lots of new salon owners that maybe hear this, when you're new in business, you're so enthusiastic about what you're doing. You go to the end of the world for it. You don't mind staying till midnight to clean a shelf. You don't mind, coming in really early because that's your entrepreneurial spirit and your entrepreneurial vision, and all your juices are flowing, and money's not your focus. Yeah. Because if your focus was money, you'd never be a hairdresser.
Yeah.
Okay? Right. If your focus was money, there's other ways to make money, and hairdressing is a phenomenal job. It's a phenomenal career. Yeah. And you can make a lot of money. Having said that, running a salon is a low profit business with a lot of people run salons because they want to be autonomous and they want to have their vision. People also run salons because they want to be a leader and they want to be a mentor and they get a lot of reward from giving. Yeah. But really on the business side of things, to get money out of a salon, that has to change. It all has to change because otherwise, it's not gonna work. And it is changing. But again, when you're a small business, you can change quickly. When you're a bigger business, it takes time to change things around.
Yeah.
So
what's being in the industry for so long, there's lots of lessons that we learn about people. Just, what's the lesson that you wish that these lawyers and statesmen and realtors even would learn that we have learned?
Well, I've learned that there's no point talking to any of these people because they've all got an opinion and they all talk with authority. Yeah. And they have confidence because that's what they do. They have the confidence, but I've also learned that they're not right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The way in which the world turns today, when you grow up with very little, you're very intimidated by the world. And when you get into the world of business, you're very intimidated by the world of business. When it comes to money, people are scared of money if they don't have it. If they're born with it, then it's a slightly different thing because they're used to it. But if you're not born with it, how do you manage money? And who knows what's right? Okay. So, what I've learned in my lifetime is it's great to trust, but it's better not to.
Oh.
Okay. So people will take your money, people will take your advice. I see it all the time. Everyone wants to make everything into a perfect box. Well, nothing's perfect in the box. You'll never have a perfect box. The laws don't allow you to have a perfect box. If you look at the rules in which the way society is set up, it doesn't all fit in together. Okay. Well, you say, well, give me an example. Okay, here's an example. Someone that is not a legal citizen has the same worker laws rights in New York City as someone that is. Okay.
Yeah.
But how can they have the same work rights when they're not even supposed to be allowed to work?
Yeah. I hear you loud and clear.
For someone to join my company, there are 29 steps to get someone onboarded. Okay.
Yeah.
And yet there's over 100,000 people that they just let into the city that where they're going to go and who's going to pay for them. And how's that going to work? How does that work in society when you're paying for X and someone else is paying for Y? When it comes to the school board, and I have a school. When it comes to the education department, look at the laws in the education department. You've got different agencies that don't actually agree on the same rules that you have to. So if you're talking to the state, there's a way in which you have to prepare your presentation for the state. But then if you're talking to NACUS, which is an accreditation agency, you have to kind of finagle it to fit. And then you've got 50 states that all have different rules and regs. Okay, so you have federal, and it's like you have to look at in America, different states have different rules, different laws. Same country, but in America, one state has a different rule to somebody else. So nothing ever fits perfectly in a box. Okay, when you're running a business, you got to understand that you just got to kind of try and get it to like 90% right. You'll never get it to 100%.
Do you feel like you'll stay in New York, or do you feel like you'll relocate your headquarters someplace else?
It's a great question. I think, obviously the cost of business here is very high. I've still 5 more years left on my lease. I'm navigating through that. I've repurposed my facility here. We're pivoting more to education. We're pivoting less to the salon industry, as in, salon. I don't see myself standing behind the chair, although I do think that there is always going to be a great place for hairdressers to flourish, and I'll still be cutting hair when I'm older, but it's not like the vision for me to be a 75-year-old stylist. Having said that, at 75, I would still like to be able to do a haircut whenever I choose, and I'd like to do it because I like doing hair.
Yeah.
When as we navigate through the next few years, while I still have my lease, I'm here. If we kind of, let's say, continue to build and we continue to navigate and we're continuing to regrow, then when that lease comes closer to that time, then I can reevaluate where I need to be and what I need to do. Do I think New York's a good place for business? It's not a good place for business right now. Yeah. My location is I've got, let's say, 4 great city blocks here on the west of Soho. and they're all the industrial buildings where everybody works. But Friday's a ghost town.
Wow.
Monday's a ghost town.
Wow.
I used to be open 7 days a week. On a Friday, we used to have, it used to be the busiest day. Now today on a Friday, it's like, nobody's here. So the business has completely changed, and every client has extended their services. So even if you're in a local environment, you've gone from 6 or 8 weeks between services to 12 to 14. So you've got to get more clients in the chair. So it's a navigation, I love New York. I've been here for 30 years. It's been an absolute amazing experience. I have an apartment that I recently purchased. My kids go to school here. I'm embedded here. I think the energy of the city is fantastic. I don't want to be in a suburban type environment. I want to be in a cutting edge environment with cutting edge people. I don't think LA's going in the right direction. I think that's going in the worst direction. Look at the labor laws.
Yeah. It's a whole nightmare.
I look at the labor laws, and I always thought it would be phenomenal to have a place in California, West Coast, but the labor laws just make it just become what is the point? So I think that, I think there is definitely an opportunity for me to consider an alternate arena. But right now, my eye is on, my prize, which is, trying to, continue to navigate through this difficult time.
How do you feel about the Sunshine State of Florida?
I think Florida's awesome. I mean, I used to have a place in Florida, and it's got no tax. There's no state tax, which, I know, and the laws, I think, are a little bit more, conducive for me. I think Miami obviously is is a metropolitan environment, which I know is growing. I can tell by the prices of property, it's completely changed. Again, I think you have to do two things. You have to, you always think you're in control, but I don't think you really are in control. Okay? Everyone thinks they're in control, but I don't think anyone's really in control. The universe has its destiny set for you. So you can try to push it whatever way you want, but the universe will put you in the place you're supposed to be. You can try to steer it. But you know what? The universe talks to you, and I really shouldn't be in business right now, right? I shouldn't. I mean, literally, I went into $12 million worth of debt, right? $12 million on my books sitting there. I was like, I shouldn't be in business now. But the universe helped me.
That's good. Yeah. What's your favorite insult that you have gotten?
Insult?
Yes, that you're super proud of. Like you look back at that moment and say, thank you for that.
No, I don't really focus on any of that stuff, really. I let all this stuff kind of wash off my, people are nasty.
Yeah.
People are tough. Okay. Number one, when you own a business, the mentality today has shifted. The mentality today has shifted from being entitled to have a job than going out and trying to get a job. And when people have a job, the entitlement is, I'm going to do the job that I want to do instead of do the job that you're getting paid to do. Yeah, so two different things, right? So I think that the world is it's difficult when you have employees. And obviously I have a lot of them. Yeah. And then, people say, what's the hardest thing in business? I say managing people. Yeah. What's the most inconsistent thing in the world? People. They forget what you did for them yesterday. People. Yeah. It's all good today, but tomorrow's a different day. People. Yeah. You can't control that, right? You can't control that. So for me, I am just, I'm just trying to focus and trying to, navigate through. People say bad things about me. They do. I mean, I get bad stuff said to me often. Frustrated employees that don't like it when I, reprimand them or say this isn't right, or you can't do this, you can't do that, or why are you not here? All of a sudden it gets personal. Whereas for me, it's never really personal. Yeah, I always keep above the fray with that. I try to keep above the fray with that. So I don't really hang on to it. If I hung on to it, I think I'd be really upset. Yeah. Because people say some really nasty thing. But you know, people used to say nasty things when I was on TV, when I was on What Not to Wear. It was even before Instagram, and I was on What Not to Wear, and you had all of those, you know, chat rooms, they used to call them.
Yep,
You know,
I
for those
remember.
old people like, you know, me.
I remember those.
You know,
No,
for these
stop.
young kids, you know, for these young kids, they don't know
Yeah,
anything about that.
they don't know.
But you know, the chat boards, and especially if I was doing a black woman's hair, God, there was so much racist kind of connotation there, because I'm obviously a different, you know, skin tone. I used to read, sometimes you'd never go on those chat boards, because the minute you go on those chat boards, people
This is
are
terrible.
mean.
Oh,
You just have to stay away from them. So, you know, I
yeah.
just try and stay on the positive side. Yeah, because God,
Good.
there's so much damage, that there's so much difficult, there's so much tough stuff. I mean, my life is there's a new problem every hour.
Every hour, exactly.
When
Exactly.
I walk out this room and open that door, there'll be a new problem.
Yeah.
Trust me. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
A new problem on the hour, and all we're doing every day is solving problems and trying to, you know, get ahead.
What celebrity, statesman, royal figure do you most want to do their hair? It's just
Nobody.
nobody. Okay.
Nobody. So not interested. Never have been. You know, we've had celebrities here in the salon. I've done celebrities. You know, when I came to America, my idea was, I thought, you know what, I'm going to get into fashion, and I'm going to start to move into that arena, you know. But I've never desired to be kind of a hairdresser for a celebrity. You know, I think when I was younger, you know, you would be like, God, how would you feel if all of a sudden one day you did like Madonna's hair? She was
Okay.
like an icon, you know, like in the
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
How would that feel? And then, you know, come to America, and you ended up doing some celebrities, and, you know, some people that are very well known, pop stars, actors. And just doesn't do it for me. I don't know what it is. Just doesn't do it for me. I don't need the black. And even if I did it, I wouldn't use it as the black. I wouldn't be like, oh, look whose hair I do.
No.
Everyone validates themselves by whose hair they do. And while I understand that's how society operates, you know, to me it's not really that important. I mean, I really what do I like? If I'm owning a salon, I want every chair filled at the best possible price, and then I'm successful. Yeah. I started my business, and Joaquin Phoenix walked in and needed a haircut, and we said, I'm sorry, we're busy, we can't do it. And then he left, and people were upset. And I said, well, you know what? We've got clients, and I'm not going to drop a client for this. And I've had it in the past where, oh, you got to go and do this, and you got to go and do that, and you change things around, and then it falls through.
Yeah.
Because the fashion world, it's fickle, and you're just a hairdresser. Yeah.
Right. Just a hairdresser.
They don't value that as you know, you're like a piece of their world. And to me, I've never really been, you know, I didn't need that. I don't want that. It's not what I wanted. It's not what I desired. You know, I had a hairdresser that worked with me for many years, fantastic hairdresser, Manuela. She was Britney Spears' stylist. She did the world tours. She carried on, went everywhere with her. So we really know what it's like looking behind the curtain. Yeah. And, you know, I think my vision is, you know, my success is kind of, honestly, my success is when people are happy and people are successful, and we're paying our bills, and we can go to bed at night and rest, and we can wake up tomorrow and put on something creative and something cool. You know, I have an event coming up in October, Experience Arrojo, super cool event. I'm going to do my expo event next year. We're looking at a really cool venue. Yeah. I look at these things. I've always said, look at things that turn you on, whatever it may be. So if it's celebrity, fabulous. I'm not negative. It's whatever you want. Yeah, it's what you want. For me, what I like community. I like collectiveness. I like being together. I like hanging out with people. I like being positive. I want people to feel like they're energized, because life is tough. So in our beautiful little sphere, we can be artistic, and we can also be creative, and we can also have a really good time together. There's no better feeling than having a laugh. There's no better feeling than feeling proud of what you've accomplished. And, you know, we want to have that kind of collective coolness that is reality-based, not fantasy-based. And we want to do it in a way where we're welcoming and friendly. You know, we have a saying, you know, you can change your pants, you can change your clothes, but it's hard to change your personality.
Oh, that's so true.
We have what we call, everyone in this industry, everyone was always exclusive, 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 exclusive. To me, I was like, let's just be inclusive. Let's be the complete opposite. Let's not tell you that you can't come in unless you do this, that, and the other. Why don't we just say the door's open, come on in. But if you don't get into our vibe, then it's not going to work. But the door's open. And if the door's open, we'll let you in. And when we let you in because we know that there's enough room for everybody and everyone's got a special place. So it doesn't matter if you're not the coolest, you know, cucumber in the sandwich. That doesn't matter. What matters more is that you bring positive energy and you make people feel good because you're happy to hold a comb, or you're happy to hold a section, or you're happy to do a blow dry, or you're happy to be a part of the process, because everybody's effort all has value. Yeah. At Vidal Sassoon, when I worked at Sassoon's, we used to have a thing called an artistic director. It was a great setup. Sassoon's setup was probably one of the best. And I learned a lot of good things there. And I learned a lot of bad things. Yeah, because there's always good and bad.
Absolutely.
So, you know, what I learned there was a structure where you had a salon manager and you had an artistic director. One was focused on the running of the business, and the other was focused on the running of the skill, because we were a hair company. Okay, so the creative director was the skill. Now, when the manager wasn't there, the creative director had to fill in for the manager. So that meant doing all of the running of the business. Okay, it's not great for creatives.
No.
And for when the creative director wasn't there, the manager had to fill in for that piece too, which was always difficult because typically speaking, they maybe weren't the most creative because they were more interested in the business and the support and the success and the nurturing and all of that. Now, in my experience, I always said, and I became an art director when I was very young, I always said, if I'm going to be an art director, it shouldn't be about how good I am. Measure me on the weakest team played. Don't measure me on my work. Measure me on the weakest member of the team. So who is the one that needs the most work, the most help? Let's measure that person. And as an artistic director, if the weakest member of the team is strong, then you've done your job.
That's beautiful. Right? Yep.
But there were other art directors that were like, you know what? As long as I'm leading the team, we'll always look good. So different approach. Yeah.
Different. Yeah.
A different approach. You know, I'm not saying mine's the right approach. I'm not saying theirs is the wrong approach. That was my approach. My approach was, why can we not be creative? Can we not be fun? Can we not be all these great things? But then also, can we be responsible, organized? If you don't make money, you've got nothing to spend for creativity. And creativity will cost you some money.
Yeah, it will.
If you want a phone or an iPhone, costs money. If you want an app, it costs money. So just on a basic level, if you don't have money, you don't have the ability to get some of the tools that we use today. So I've always kind of been balanced in, you know, I've always said, let's not worry about the money. Let's focus on the vision, but let's keep an eye on the pennies, because the pennies will add up into dollars, and we've got to be careful that we don't run out, because if we run out, then the whole thing's a fail.
Yeah.
So when you're building your business, you have to build some revenue so that you have some creative marketing dollars for you, whether that's to do a photo shoot, a campaign, whether that's to do something that will help promote you. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we are judged on who we are.
What is something you wish I asked you that I didn't? And what would you have said?
How much money you want to give me today, Nick? I don't know. I don't know what I would, you know, I mean, I literally come into this one blind, you know, people that reach out to me, I'm lucky. Sometimes people say, would you like to, you know, do something? I always go, yeah, you know, it's like, let's do it. I think all of this is, if you're asked to do something with somebody that's trying to, you know, create communication and connection and connectivity, you know, I think it's a great opportunity. So I just came into this one blind. I know you know, I think you reached out to me. Maybe I posted on a comment or something. And,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I
it usually
kind of,
happens like that.
I just threw it out there. I was like, let's see what happens. I don't know. So
No,
thank you.
if you don't ask, you don't get.
Thank
And
you.
you know what? And you know, maybe that's the lesson is don't be fair, don't be scared of you know, rejection. Yeah. Don't be
Thank
scared.
you.
No one should be scared of that. It's like you can ask and you'll get. There's a famous photographer. His name's Nick Knight. Super famous photographer, one of the best. Photographed some of the best images, campaigns for the best designers. I'm sure you know people would know him. If you don't know him, he's an amazing English photographer, and you know probably one of the best. And I remember one of the girls at work, my assistant, wrote to him because she was doing a project the same way that we do projects here for our students. Yeah, we have
Right.
like the stylist project. They have to
Right.
be a stylist and they do presentations on it, which is it's a beautiful thing to have. And I go to work every day. I got all this beautiful, you know, magic energy. You know, I mean, I got students out there now. I had a new class start last week, 17 students. Like that's the future. And they're either going to turn out to be good or bad based off what's programmed in them, what information is given to them, you know. But that energy keeps you super positive and focused. But to get back to the Nick Knight story, my apprentice at the time wrote to Nick Knight, and he sent, in the good old days when there was no such thing as mobile phones, even, you know, he sent her a box of all of his prints. And I just thought that that was such a generous and genuine thing to do that, you know, it takes nothing to be nice. Now, unfortunately, sometimes it's almost impossible to be nice, especially if you're, you know, getting stopped by a lot of people or asked a million questions. There comes a point where you can't do it. So people do have to have a little bit of, you know, kind of decency to understand that sometimes it's a bit overwhelming, you know, and we're not ignoring people. I get a lot of people ask me for a lot of stuff, and some stuff I like, so I get behind it. And if I don't really like it, I just can't get behind it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I just think I got to be honest. I have to
Yes.
be true to me. I can't be a bullshitter. I
Yeah.
can't be a person that is just yes is everything.
Mm-mm.
I have opinions. My opinions sometimes get me into hot water because people don't like my opinions, and that's okay, you know. But yeah, I just try to be nice to people as much as I can, and if people reach out, ask, you know, we say yes as much as we can.
Well, I appreciate it wholeheartedly. You
Thank
have
you.
been a major part of my international coaching story. I actually,
A lot of people coaching now. Yeah, how's that going?
well, I'm actually certified. I don't know about everybody
Oh,
else,
well, there's a
but
lot of people that are not, eh?
yeah. And I sat in the hotel across your Soho school, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if he could do it, I would look out the window and I would say, if he could do it, I could do it. We have the same hours in the day.
I used to say that too. Yeah, I used to say if Horst Reckelbacher can do it, why can't I? If Paul Mitchell can do it, why can't I? And if I
Right.
can't do it, why can't you? And I say that now. Yeah, and you know what the nicest thing is? I see a lot of people that I've had a helping hand in, and I see that they're very successful, and I see that they've managed to accomplish great things. And I always know the ones that are really thankful thank me, and the ones that maybe don't, they don't. And I know who they are, and I only know it doesn't matter. But you know, I always recognize and remember. But I'm pretty proud of the fact that I do, even though I may get criticism and stuff like that, I also do get really nice positive affirmations from people that I've helped in the past. And even the best ones I ever get is from disgruntled employees that write 3 or 4 years later to
Yeah.
and then they write and they kind of in their infinite maybe like discovery of understanding how the world turns, they start to have a greater sense of appreciation for who I am, what I've done to help them, and that they see how difficult it really is, because the grass is not greener. Yeah, the grass looks better, but you get over to the other side of the field, and you realize the grass is as crap as the grass you were stood on. Yeah. But from a distance, you don't see the detail. You just see the green, shiny grass that just for some reason looks a little bit of a different color, but it's still you. So I think that, again, just, things to live by, things to work towards, things to try and help people so they can navigate their future. I'll be cutting hair shortly. I have another client coming in. I look at my clients, and I want them to feel good about their experience, and I want them to have a great haircut. And I never worry about the money in that capacity. Yeah, I don't worry about that. I'm never worried about like, okay, they've got to. Sometimes I saw yesterday, someone didn't tip me. They don't tip you. Get over it.
Yeah.
Move on. Yeah. Somebody might forget. You have no idea what's going on in someone's brain. Yeah. They might forget. But the more you hang on to the negative stuff, the worse you become. So the easier it is if you stay positive, then you'll be more positive, every day. And it is a tough job. It is a tough job because, number one, there's an expectation to please. You're as a stylist, as a salon stylist, there's an expectation you want to please people. Number two, you have to deal with their energy. Number three, you have to deal with their timekeeping. So I do things a little bit different. I never say no to a client. Right? I don't say no. If a client comes late, doesn't matter. I'm going to get that client in. I'll do whatever I can to get that client in. There's loads of tricks in the toolbox to.
Yes.
I'm never fully booked. Yeah. Even if I'm fully booked, my front desk staff now, put the lady on the bottom of the column. Put the lady at the bottom of the column, or the person at the bottom of the column, and then let me, when I see that column, because I check my column every hour, I will check it. If I see someone, I'll know where to get them in. Okay. So I'm a never say no kind of guy, because the golden rule is you go to work to make money, and you should never say no to money, because cosmically, if you say no to money when someone wants to give you money and you say no to it, guess what? You don't know, that money might not be coming close to you again. I'm kind of a little bit of a living proof on, how it can be to build a business, but now it's kind of like an even bigger challenge, and it has been. And the most important thing is, who's learning the most is me.
Right. Right. The lesson is always for you, for us,
I'm learning so much about business, about operations. I'm learning about resilience. I'm learning about don't quit mentality. I'm learning about there's always somebody else, something new. You've not expanded all your options yet. There are so many more doors to open. You just have to find them. And in closing, my final thing I would say to you, is that when I started being in business, I always was like, oh, this problem, and this problem, and this problem. And you always have these challenges, and they exist today. Staffing issues, or how to get the right people to do the right thing, whatever it may be. But what I learned about 10 years ago is, maybe 15, there is always a solution to every problem. Yes. The trick is to find it. Find the solution to your problem. But whatever the problem is, there is a solution. So in wrapping up, while my problem is we don't make enough revenue to support the existing expenditure. So for me, I wake up every day and I go, let's manage that focus. When you're a business owner and you wake up and you come to work and you realize you're losing $120,000 a month, okay? This is a real fact. Yep. So you can panic and you can, hide. You can tell you, there's many a time I've thought about getting into the closet and staying there. Just curl up in a little ball and go, I don't know, I can take this shit. Yeah. or hide under the bed and hope that the world disappears. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you get up every day, and I went from losing 100,000 down to losing 80,000, 70,000. And you look at these numbers and it's so disparaging. But I have to say, good news. This since all the way this year, we are now at that break-even point.
Oh, thank God.
We managed to go from losing so much a month to now kind of getting to that break-even point. So, the good news is we're at that point. The bad news is we've still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, always.
Some cash. But, as long as I got my health, I got everything that I need. And no one can take away everything that I've accomplished. And that's the same for every single person, so.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to continue sending all the good vibes and all the prayers to you and your family and your salon.
I'm coming to Florida in a couple of weeks. I'm doing a class down there.
Oh, fabulous. Where?
Florida.
Oh, you don't know where yet. Okay, all right. That's fine.
I do know, but my brain is not. I don't have it.
That's all right.
It's in a couple of weeks. Everything's available on my Instagram or my link tree.
I'm so proud of you. Look at you advancing. I'm gonna put all that stuff in the show notes for people to get in touch with. Okay.
Please do. It's been a real pleasure, and best of luck. And hopefully we'll see you in person. Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Take care.
Bye. How was that episode? Did that conversation totally give you the breath of fresh air you needed? Were you totally shouting all the amens, nodding your head, hands up in the air? I know I was. There's something so uplifting when someone you perceived is doing bigger and better things. Then all of a sudden, you realize they're just as human as you are. So if you loved this episode, make sure to rate this episode on Spotify, leave a review of it on Apple Podcasts so I can keep bringing you the content that you love. Also, if you want tickets to Nick Arrojo's tour that he is doing right now, tap the link in the show notes, follow him on Instagram, and grab those tickets, whether it's on his tour or in New York. Go check it out. If you loved this episode, subscribe to the BeautyPro podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to leave your reviews, stars, feedback so I can continue bringing the content you deserve and want most. Your feedback fuels this podcast. The more you give, the more you get back. You can follow me at The BeautyPro Coach on Instagram and Facebook. Want to contact me directly? Email me at befree@goldentruthcoaching.com.